Why are all the F1 drivers wearing squiggly t-shirts under their race suits this weekend? It's actually for safety reasons. For the first time in F1 history, a heat advisory has been declared. But what does that mean? Why is it important? Why is this the first time it's ever happened? And why do these squiggly t-shirts help? Let me break it down for you. If you're new to Formula One, you may not know about how intense the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix was. While driving a Formula One car is always a physically demanding task, it also gets extremely hot in the driver's seat of one of these cars. And so when we have intense weather and humidity at some of these tracks, it makes it even more physically demanding and sometimes dangerous. The Qatar Grand Prix in 2023 was one of those times, where the heat and humidity got so intense that a number of drivers were actually physically ill. Esteban Ocon, for example, threw up inside of his helmet during the race. Logan Sargent actually had to retire from the race early due to extreme dehydration. And Lance Stroll even said that he passed out while driving the car more than once. After this race was completed and we saw the drivers talk about how dangerous it was, the FIA launched an investigation into the heat and humidity in these cars and how they could make a system that would make it safer for the drivers behind the wheel. And ahead of the 2025 season, the concept of a heat advisory was announced. Basically, what this means is that the FIA can declare a heat advisory ahead of a race weekend if the forecast shows temperatures that will be at 31 degrees Celsius or above. Teams are then made aware of that fact and then are required to add a driver cooling system to every single one of the cars. In very simple terms, this driver cooling system includes a pump, plumbing, thermal store, and cooling fluid. That system then works together and pumps that cooling fluid through these squiggly t-shirts. The idea behind it is that the drivers then wear that underneath their suits, and as the cars are heating up, this cooling system is consistently bringing their body temperature back down to normal. Adding anything to a car means that it gets heavier. So to deal with that, when the FIA does declare a heat advisory, that minimum car weight requirement is actually increased. For free practice sessions or qualifying or sprint qualifying, that minimum requirement is increased by 2 kilograms. For the race itself or a sprint race, that minimum requirement is increased by 5 kilograms. Now, you may not see every driver wearing this cooling system this weekend, and that's because this system is new. And as of right now, drivers are allowed to make the choice of whether or not they actually wear that driver cooling vest underneath their suits. However, all of the driver cooling systems will be attached to these cars even if the driver elects not to actually utilize it. In general, I think this is one of the cool things about Formula One, which is that we consistently have cool engineering problems, and we find really interesting ways to actually resolve them. Hopefully, with the addition of the driver cooling system, we will see a much safer race weekend. Though I do think we're going to see a debate across fans and athletes alike about whether or not this takes away from the required athleticism or endurance of driving a Formula One car. So now you know what a driver cooling system is and why it's being used in Singapore. If you're new to Formula One, what do you think about this innovation? And if you're a long-term fan, how do you feel about this change being implemented this season?